All right. Well, we are just going to jump right into Amazon Live. And you saw the cover. I'll put it right back up. A Time to Fly, Diane. Welcome to Amazon Live. I am glad to have you here today. This is your brand new book. And we've got a number of your books in the carousel because you've written a total of 9 books. How many
9 books. Amazing, right?
Well, congratulations on A Time to Fly. It's such a wonderful book. We're going to explore all about this book, about your background, about how you wrote this. But I just want to tell people that it's highlighted in the carousel. And before we get started any further, click on the book. You can still hear us because it's going to open up another tab. But click on the tab so you can take a look at the book. The illustrations are gorgeous, but the story is encouraging. It's a children's story, but I found great encouragement in the story myself. So, Diane, welcome. Tell people where you are and a little bit about your background and how you got to write A Time to Fly.
How many hours do we have?
we have whatever you need.
Thank you. Well, first, thank you for having me. It's so exciting to be on Amazon Live with you tonight, and welcome everyone who's listening. My background is I'm a former educator and classroom teacher from preschool to 8th grade, and I'm a Texas girl. Even though I was born in Oklahoma, Mom and Daddy, we moved here when I was about 18 months old, so I consider myself a Texas girl. Even though by the rules of Texans, did you know you have to really be born here to be considered a Texan? Did you know
that? Well, it is the Republic of Texas.
So. This is true. But, I have always been a storyteller. You can just ask any of my childhood friends and regular friends. And of course, I love storytelling through song, on stage. In the classroom, I was always telling stories. You could ask former students. And then a time came where I was working in the garden. Not that I'm a great gardener, but I do love to get out in the dirt and make mud pies, just like when I was a little girl, and dig in the dirt and make flowers grow or hope they grow. And anyway, it came to me that it was time to put my stories to print. So I have lots of stories that I've written, and I'm always writing new ones, like A Time to Fly. And so that's kind of how the story goes so far.
Yeah, and I'm going to put this cover up just so people can see. There it is, A Time to Fly. And again, the illustrations on this one are just, I'll just have to say, I'm kind of partial to the watercolors anyway, because there is such great skill that's required.
Nancy Hoover would love you for saying that because you recognize that. Nancy Hoover is the illustrator. She's a Texan. She actually just lives down the road. And I am proud to say she is also a friend and for many years. And I'm very humbled that she agreed to paint this story. And I think what she did was just bring it, my words just brought them magically to life. And one of the things I like about it, I'm going to be curious to see what you think, is how realistic they are. And so, you get a lot of children's stories and they're precious, but they're more cartoony. But she took this one and she really made it realistic, which I think makes it exciting for adult readers as well, to be inspired to open that door and go for it. What do you think?
Absolutely. Let's put this one up so people can see the little baby bird there in the nest. And
right there in the nest, he's just so content, and he just has no desire to leave. Like, why should I leave? I have everything I need here. You bring me the
food. Exactly. I love that. It's just as, Mommy, where is everyone? Chirped little bluebird. Your brother and sister are up in the tree with Daddy. I'm right here on the rooftop waiting for you to fly with us. The mommy bird sweetly tweeted back. But mommy, why can't we stay in our warm nest? I love it here, chirped the little baby bird as he hopped back in the nest where his mommy could not see him.
Oh my gosh. You do not know how it warms my heart to hear someone read my words and to hear their interpretations.
Mhm.
That was really powerful. You have no idea. That just meant so much to me.
Oh, that's great.
Thank
I
you.
just, I love it so much that, again, it's this interaction between the mother and the child, which all of us, well, I hope many of us can relate to. But maybe it was a teacher or a coach or someone in our lives when we were young who gave us encouragement and knew we liked where we were, but we needed to take that step and move out.
Gosh.
And that's
Yep.
really what A Time to Fly is about.
That's exactly right. And you're absolutely right that there's always someone in our life, at least I'd like to think so,
Mhm,
that sees something in us that maybe we don't see, and they help us discover that possibility.
mhm.
And then you look up and you're like, how did I get here? This is so exciting. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Angelo. And Mrs. Angelo was my high school teacher. So a shout out for my
Mhm,
drama teacher because when I'm on stage, you would think it would be some of the things I did in college, but I go all the way back to the
mhm,
encouragement of Mrs. Angelo. So
mhm. I think the same thing. I think, thank you, Mrs. Robinson, my fifth grade teacher, who, for fifth grade boys, and I'm still a fifth grade boy, I've just added more layers. So I remember what it was like. We were a little squirrely, kind of full of ourselves, uh, and she let us express our creativity in the way that worked for us
wow.
and gave us a chance. And I look back, in fact, it's recently, probably within the last month, that I was sharing a story from Mrs. Robinson.
Wow. Isn't there a movie called Mrs. Robinson? Should I
Well,
be
there's
worried?
a,
No.
yeah, it's
Just
a,
teasing. I'm just teasing.
that's right.
But
I
isn't
think you're
that
trying to seduce me,
wonderful?
Mrs. Robinson.
That's right. That's a classic.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I love about the story is that our little bird is very comfortable in his nest, but doesn't know what he's missing.
Right. Right. Exactly. And and because of the mama knowing the baby needs to leave, and of
Mhm.
course, the birds winter's coming, and so they need to get ready to go. Mama's like, okay, we gotta pack our bags here or flap our wings. So I loved what you said when we were backstage about step by step.
Mhm.
um, that was pretty neat. So
That's what I really see in this. And let's go back into the story here. And it says, so after our little bird hops back into the nest where his mommy could not see him, he says, because he says it's so he wants to stay in the nest, and she says, I know you do. Would you like to hear a story? I'll tell you about when you were a little egg. Then, when I say flap your wings, you flap them, and I will continue the story, okay? The mommy bird warmly asked. And she knows that the bird needs to fly, but also this little bird is young, his wings are not developed, he doesn't have the experience. And so she can't just throw him out of the nest because that won't work.
uh,
But she knows and many times in our lives, we're faced with huge things that we think are insurmountable challenges in our lives, whether it's with family or work or friends or health. They're things that we don't think we can overcome, but we have that person to give us an encouragement to take that one step. Flap your wings.
flap your wings, right? And I when I was writing this story, and just to give you a little background, there really were these three little eggs in a nest in my flower pot. So I was very blessed that my youngest daughter discovered them, and we watched these birds hatch.
Mm.
And this is a true story. This bird did not want to fly. And as we watched this happen, and I watched the mama speaking, tweet, tweet, tweet to the
Mhm.
little bird, the bird eventually took off. And I just went, oh my gosh, that's a story for everyone to hear. And
Yes.
because we were taking pictures all the time and little videos, I was able to share it with the
Mhm.
incredible illustrator, Nancy Hoover. And she would have made magic no matter what, because you have no idea what an incredible artist she is. But she really appreciated the
Well, I get
pictures.
to get a glimpse, and here we have the nest in the flower pot. It says,
Yes.
"Okay, mommy," the little bird tweeted, and he jumped up and perched on the flower pot that held the family nest. And there's that nest, and there's the bird up on the roof, and
Yes. That's really our
brother and
roof.
sister and dad are up in the tree,
Hmm.
and you're just taken right into that scene, and you can just hear the birds tweeting, and you can see him up on the nest flapping his wings. Like some of us have seen, you were able
Yes.
to witness that.
Yes, that's true. And in the story, just like us human beings, we kind of outgrow our nest. And the mama has to have the child realize on its own, the baby
Hmm.
bird, I should say,
Yeah.
that darling, you've outgrown your nest. We need to think about what's next. So,
Hmm. Yeah, and that's what happens. We do. We're very comfortable with where we are, but sometimes we do outgrow that circumstance, and we need to make a
mhm,
change.
mhm.
But it's our human nature, uh, inertia, to stay
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. Even with, just staying in our own city, we're quite content. I mean, I grew up in a beautiful town of Deer Park, Texas, and everything that you need is right there. Beautiful people there to help you with ups and downs. Just an incredible community. And why would you ever leave? Everything you need is right there. A job, everything. But thank goodness there's that person in me that loves to explore, and I always wanted to see the world. So
Mhm.
I thought, how can I do that? And then started taking baby steps to make that happen. And so that's what I hope people get from this book is children are like, okay, I really loved second grade, but if you say it's going to be okay, I'll go to third grade for the first time, or oh, I loved my other job. Why did we have to move?
Mhm.
Okay, et cetera, et cetera. We can all think of something, but anyway, I could talk forever.
Well, I'm going to remind everybody we've got Diane here, A Time to Fly, that her most recent book number 9, and I put in the title here, it's The Power of Encouragement for everyone that's watching. I'm sure that either someone has been a great encouragement to you to make changes in your life, things that were a little bit uncomfortable, but helped you go step by step. And maybe you're somebody out there right now that has needing to help somebody make some changes in their life. There's different things in the economy. There's things with the world pandemic that we kind of comes and goes. There's regional things. There's local things. There's personal things. A book like this will just be a great encouragement to that person and to you to be able to say, if we just take little steps. And so in this, and we showed the nest, and the flower pot, and then the story goes on because it says, um, is he jumped up on the edge of the nest, and he said, well, your daddy and I were looking. So she's telling the story. Your daddy and I were looking for the perfect place to build a nest. And one day we were on the roof singing to our friends, and we heard these beautiful chimes. And we looked down and saw an empty flower pot by the chimes, and we decided to scout around. The flower pot looked warm and cozy, and we knew critters would not get to our eggs, so we began to build a nest inside the pot. And that's just, you can see the chimes, and I can hear the chimes, I'm sure.
Oh, I love that. And chimes are very special to me.
Mm.
I feel like a little bit of my mama's in that story because I grew up with chimes. She always had chimes on the back porch, the front porch growing up. And in the garden, I have chimes. I'm not sure what the neighbors think. There's so many chimes going, the top deck, the bottom deck. But there's something when you're outside and then, there's no wind at all. And all of a sudden there's just this little tiny wind and this little melody happens. And you just sit there and it just, I don't know, it just makes your heart fill with joy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, music hits us at a different level. It hits us as a place where we don't have capacity for language. And I think that's the same. Well, it is the same with art. And so when we look at the pictures, and we'll go back to the cover, A Time to Fly, and the beautiful pictures that Nancy Hoover put together here for you, art hits us at a place where we don't really have the capacity for language to look at it and we say, I really like this, but we can't really express why.
That is so true. That is so true. And, you mentioned music, well, every type of art, but there is a wonderful phrase, Deer Park High School. I didn't graduate from there because of the way the school boundaries were. I graduated from LaPorte, but the high school at Deer Park is amazing. And it was built at a time that high schools had cornerstones. And so the music department, and I just loved this. And there was a bench where you could sit and just think and enjoy the grounds. And it says, through music, mankind has found understanding. And I've just always loved that. I want to get in front of Congress and play some music and say, okay, let's find some of that understanding. A little love track there. Sorry.
Well, I think that's perfect, and we could use that. We could all use beauty in our lives.
This is so true. And I think in the story, I'm going to just hold up this one picture so people can see it, and that's just incredible. I just love that, and it's flapping its wings. That the baby bird, when it first pops out, it falls back down, which is exactly what happened. And then in real life, it just peaked above, like, oh my gosh, do I really want to get up there again, And that's what we all do. And as the saying goes, to succeed, you have to fail. And so failing is just learning. And we need to have that experience. And so the little bird, that happens to him, but then he flaps. And then the mommy tells a teeny bit more of the story and then flaps twice. And before you know it, he takes off. And as parents, helping kids take teeny tiny steps is incredible. And then before you know it, we cut the umbilical cord and we have to watch them fly. And yet it's exciting too. So all my grown-up kids out there, I'm proud of you.
Well, there was the little comic, and it shows shows two scenes, and one of them is the first day of kindergarten, and mom is trying to put the child on the bus who is clinging to her and fighting to stay. And then it's the first day of college, and she's clinging to him as he's trying to go.
And it's so true to life, isn't it?
But we like what we're used to.
Yes.
But this is the great thing about our little bird here, is that it is his nature to fly.
Yes.
And in this case, the mother is really helping him to realize who he is. It was Michelangelo when they asked him how he makes these beautiful statues out of marble, and he says it's easy. You just take away the part of the marble that isn't the man.
Wow. I love that. Easier said than just sculpture. Just do that.
That's easy. You just take the part that's not the man. Okay. Well, and that's what the mom is doing here with our little bird, is taking away the parts that aren't him, because he's when he was young, when he was an egg, when he was first hatched, the nest was his place.
Right.
But as now he's gotten bigger, and as she says, you take up the whole nest. We can't get in the nest now. There's no room for us. And it's no longer the place for our little bird, who is not so little.
Right. Right. I'm falling in love with this story, and I'm like, who wrote that?
Well,
It's
it is just fabulous, and again, for people who just need that encouragement, young, old, middle aged, you have a niece, a nephew, a child, a neighbor. This is a wonderful book of encouragement, and this is the great thing about Amazon here, is that people can get on, they can buy the book, and you can have it sent to somebody. And they don't have to be your neighbor, they don't have to be close to you. You can have it sent anywhere, and it's going to show up for them, and you'll be the hero, which is always a great thing to do.
That's so sweet. And I love that. And you made me think about something, that how it really is for everyone of all ages. And I really, sometimes when we get older, we're like, oh my gosh, I'm so old. I don't want to do that. But what we have to do is realize what a blessing it is we opened our eyes, and what it is that we need to do, and embrace where we are right now, cherish things from the past, but discover what we can do in the future. And, when you said that, it struck me that that's just like the baby bird. No matter what age you are, even if you're 80, just go ahead and go, okay, I'm going for it. I might be 80, but hey, I'm only 60 in my mind, and I'm going to go run that marathon.
There are plenty of things to do. And Diane, we don't have a name here, but we did. This is his Amazon customer. But you may know who this is. Diane is a great mentor, is what we say here. It says, Diane is a great mentor. She encouraged me to start writing my books. Thank you, Diane. So not only did you write a great book, but you have an impact in people's lives. And so congratulations on that. That is taking what you've been given and being able to share that out. So that's pretty wonderful.
Thank you. And I have a feeling I know which friend that is. But,
I was thinking so.
So if it's Cindy, thank you. But anyway, yes, there have been actually several people that I've helped write, and I'm helping someone right now. And that's, when you've been blessed, you need to turn around and figure out ways to help others, right?
Absolutely. It's we live in a world of abundance. There's winners and winners.
Yes. I love that. Winners and winners.
There's
no
winners
matter
and
where
winners.
you live, right?
No matter where you live. And in the book, here we discover back up, A Time to Fly. And we've got it highlighted in the carousel so people can click and add that. You're not going to stop hearing this because it's going to open in a new tab. But
wonderful.
This book, again, it's a huge encouragement. And just like Mama Bird is helping the baby by little incremental steps, by just saying, every time I say flap your wings, flap, but he's getting a story. So he's hearing about how he came from when they found the nest, and they had the 3 eggs in there, and then his brother and sister hatched, and then it took him longer to fly, but she's now giving him step by step. And I would say this is probably the same thing that you did with another writer, is you didn't just say, yes, this is what you do, write a book.
Yeah.
It's little
Step by
steps
step.
along the way.
The teacher in me comes out for sure. And hopefully that's the way I was as a mama as well. Little tiny steps. And before they knew it, they could sing, or they could play the guitar, or they could run a mile, climb a mountain.
Step by step.
Yeah.
And then, so here we just mentioned the nest with the 3 eggs. And so our little bird is getting the story from his mom. And his mom is saying, we laid 3 little eggs and watched over them day and night. Now flap your wings 1 time, tweeted the mommy bird. The little bird flapped his wings just a tiny bit. Very good, the mommy bird warmly tweeted. And it goes on. I want to encourage people to get This is a great story. You'll read it over and over again. And for those of you with children or grandchildren, this is going to be one of those stories where they always want to hear again every night. Every night. Tell
Thank
me the
you.
story about Little Bird.
You know, when I write, before I just send it off to the publisher, I try. It was a little bit hard during COVID, but I would speak to my nieces and nephews, the little ones, and get their thoughts. And the one thing that they loved hearing is like, say, I want to flap. Let's all flap. They just loved that part. So I thought it was really cute. And it's like, no, you have to keep
Oh,
that in.
I
So
am picturing little kids on their beds getting up and flapping their wings one time and then two times
yes.
and then again as they
And
read the
then their
story.
mama going, Aunt Diane, they're jumping off the bed. Oh, I'm so sorry.
But this is such a great story because when we read those stories, they become part of who we are. And if we read these stories to our children when they're young, when they get older, we'll be able to refer back to it. Remember Little Bird. So as they say, oh, I don't want to go to kindergarten, we say, just pick up your lunchbox, right?
I
And then
love
tell them
that.
a story.
I love
And
that.
then he
That's
says,
true.
so let's walk toward the school bus and I'll tell you a little bit more of the story. And parents will be able to adapt this into so many different things.
This is so true. Beautiful analogy. Congratulations. Thank you.
Hey, it's easy for me. I'm sitting over here in the small box. You are the one who saw the bird and saw the little birds, watched them hatch, and were able to take this story. And so we could say right here, A Time to Fly, based on a true story. So if you
That's
get
true.
the when they want to ask for the television rights, you'll know that'll be a part of it.
Wouldn't that be lovely to inspire that many people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Well, I really appreciate you highlighting this book. I love it and I'm very proud of it. And I'm so grateful to
Mm-hmm.
Nancy and the beautiful work she did as an illustrator.
Yeah.
And I think the two of us represent Texas really well. What do you think?
I love it. I had a chance to live down in Texas, in West
Oh,
Texas, and it was one of the best experiences. There was, I don't know, 90,000 people in the town
wow.
in San Angelo,
Oh, I
but
love San Angelo.
you would have thought it was a town of 250 people. They were just so welcoming, and everyone was just very friendly and
Friendly.
generous, and I loved being down there. And so,
That's great to know. And San Angelo is just a beautiful spot.
mhm.
Though
Yeah.
people in San Angelo listening are going, shh, it's a secret.
Well, I'll tell you, if you want to find San Angelo, get a map of Texas and get a little compass and put the point right in the middle of the state, and you draw a circle around that. That point is going to be on San Angelo. It's about in the middle of Texas as you can get.
Yes, this is true. This is
Beautiful
true.
little spot and great people. I just want to show some of these pictures again as we go through. And this is just a glimpse into what the book looks like. And Diane, is a teacher, can you talk a little bit about the font that was chosen for the book? And then, in fact, you're using this for all of your books now.
Yes, I'm going to be re-releasing some of my very first books after I discovered this font. And thank you for bringing that up. It's called the Dyslexia font. And I was so excited about this font because it meant that children who have dyslexia, they didn't have to go to some special section in the library. The books could be just mixed with everything else. And that's very important to me, is for kids to know that even if you're dyslexia, there's nothing wrong with that. There should be no stigmatism. Generally, people with dyslexia are pretty smart, actually. And
Mm-hmm.
this font allows them to read along with their friends. So if the teacher uses it in the classroom, because I try to write books that teachers can use, that enhances the curriculum. So obviously, Bluebirds and Nature and so forth works with the curriculum quite well. Can you tell I was a curriculum director? And 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 so this way, the teachers only have to order one book, or the librarian, and have several copies, and the kids in their little group sections can all read it, and no one will go, oh, why do you have that one? They'll just
Mhm.
all be together, because it's really important to me. All of us can share some experience they had where somebody's teased them about something. So if I can do something that helps alleviate some teasing, then I want to do my part.
It's very tough as a child to be different.
It is,
We're all different, but
we're all different, but that's right.
but we do want to fit in. The other thing that is helpful is for parents, because
Mm,
parents have dyslexia too. It's
this is so true.
not often something that we grow out of
No,
if we have that condition. And this is something that will allow those parents to read without being different for their children.
that is a really great point. And a lot of parents, are just discovering that they're
Hmm.
why they had reading problems, because we've been able to identify it now. But maybe when they were younger, there wasn't a way to identify it.
Hmm.
So glad we
Yeah.
are able to figure those things out, so
Yeah.
that we can all soar. And that's the most important thing is, at the end of the story, the little bird, he soars with his family. And isn't that what we want in life? We want to be able to soar. And
Hmm.
I don't necessarily mean that, oh, we want to make $1 million and all this. Soar means you want to have your heart full of joy. You want to be doing
Hmm.
things that make you tick, and whatever that can do, that makes you excited about waking up in the morning. That's soaring to me.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really releasing that potential, and that's what teachers, coaches, instructors, parents, family members, grandparents, aunts and uncles, friends. That's really what we want to do. Is we want to help release that that um, potential
Yeah.
within each person to do
Right.
whatever it is that they can do. They can
Right.
be a teacher, they can be an astronaut, they can be in business, they can be an accountant. There's
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
go into the trades. We need some more carpenters. So.
And electricians. Hello.
Absolutely. Well, we have Sally Rainbow Child watching, and just says hello,
Thank
and
you,
actually
Sally.
says bonjour. So thank you, and so that's nice. We appreciate that. Um, so as we mentioned, this is book number 9,
Yes.
and such an encouraging story. And I'm going to go back to the this cover picture again, because it really is the power of encouragement. If you are struggling for yourself, anyone that's watching, if you're struggling and need some encouragement, A Time to Fly, I know we all know people that are struggling, whether they're children, whether they're young adults, or at any age. This story will be a great encouragement and help us to realize all we need to do is take that one step. We just need to flap our wings once, and then twice. And then the next thing you know, we're soaring with our family and friends to new heights and new locations.
How cool is that? Right?
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the other books, and
Sure.
maybe Song of Peace would be a good
Sure.
place to start. I highlighted that in the carousel. So tell us a
This
little bit about A Song of Peace.
Sure. I love the Song of Peace. And um, that came to me because, I've lived in lots of different places, and have been blessed to travel and be with people from all different cultures. And there's beauty in all humanity. There really is. We hear a lot of downness, downness, downness. But the truth is, human beings are gorgeous. And the one thing we have in common, if we're of sound mind, is that we want food on the table and we just want happiness and our little kids to grow up and be the person they're supposed to be. And so, it would be nice to have a magic wand and make that happen, but it's not the case. But there is in this story, there's a little boy named Tommy, and he jumps off the merry-go-round and he just starts singing, peace, peace, peace. And I'm sure in a boy voice when you read it, but peace. So anyway, however your mind sees it. And so one of the neighbors asks, why are you doing that? And so just to give a little background, that we had, my mama worked and lived on the most amazing, you can make a movie like The Next Wonder Years could be about Aberdeen, and Mrs. Sills and Mrs. Garrett, they were sort of the mamas that watched over us while the working moms were there. And so I thought, I'm going to have Mrs. Sills be the person that walks around with, of course, Tommy's permission. And so the story unfolds why, but I also wanted it to be very inclusive in the sense of I wanted to show the whole world. And so there's this spread that this particular illustrator, Judy Gaudet, did from Maine, and did an incredible job, and it's in watercolors. And you have the word peace in all these different languages, so that all these cultures are represented, and also for it to be sort of a placeholder for all the cultures, because you can't put, every single language in the little book, but that's what I'm trying to get across. And in the end, peace happens for a moment, but Tommy keeps singing peace, and people around the world are asking why, because it had gone viral, by the way. And so there's a little twist that happens at the end that's unexpected that you see, and then you're like, that's why this little boy wanted peace. And so that's a secret for when you read the story. But that's the long-winded, but I'm really proud of that one too. And that one came to me in the middle of the night, and I had to get up and write it right away.
I love that. It's studying different languages to me, it's very important.
Yes.
And I'm just going to jump for a moment, sticking with kind of Song of Peace, but Harry the Camel is a book that you wrote, and it's also translated into Arabic. Correct. And one of the things that I found is that you cannot separate culture from language.
True.
And if you really want to help yourself to understand other people, learn their language, or at least study a little bit about it.
Attempted.
And this is one of those great opportunities where people can buy two copies of Harry the Camel, one in English, one in Arabic. And then that'll help you kind of understand the culture, especially if you're going to be doing any traveling. And you actually lived in the Middle East.
Correct, for 14 plus years. So yes, very excited. I always wanted to write about a camel because I was around them so much in Dubai, but the inspiration didn't come. And then finally it came about a year before we left, and I wanted to, I started taking art lessons because I'm not an artist, but this amazing woman became my art teacher for silk painting, and she's my co-illustrator in that one, and she's from Sri Lanka. And again, it was another way of showing how people from different parts of the world can work together. And also you can learn from them. I mean, I learned a lot from her teaching me that. And so anyway, Harry, again, it shows the commonality. Harry didn't like himself. He wanted to be a horse, but different things happen. And by the end of the story, he loves himself. And that's what we want. There's times in our lives as kiddos, especially through the middle school years when our bodies are changing and everything. And we're trying to think, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? And in the end, you're like, okay, I turned out okay, But it's those those moments. And I wanted kids to discover that they're beautiful just the way they are. And
Mhm.
that's what Harry the Camel does. And I wanted it to be in Arabic as well because I did live there. I had a beautiful experience. I grew up in sense of humanity. I had the opportunity to go to Africa and work in 3 different countries. And just that whole experience as a human being living in a different culture, which I had lived in the Philippines for 3 years when in
Mhm.
my young, when I just started my marriage. And but I've been blessed to have this incredible, amazing husband who does speak languages, who's just the kindest person on earth, and we've been able to travel, and I've been able to grow as a human being, and I wanted to give back to Dubai. As a way of saying thank you. Not that
Mhm.
they care, but in my heart, that's what I
Mhm.
was doing.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's important for people to be able to have a way to understand another culture,
Yes.
and and whether you're there or not, by just studying the language, you start to get a little bit of a flavor of what the culture is like. And when you study a culture and the people, uh, they become less dangerous,
This is really true.
less
This
scary
is
to
true.
us, right?
This is true. You know, we're always scared of something we don't
Mm.
understand
Hmm.
or someone who's different. But once we peel back the layers, they're like, why did I feel that way in the first place? And that's what The Little Girl in the Moon, the first book that I had published, is all
Yeah,
about.
I'll put that in
Um,
the carousel. There we go.
yeah, The
Go ahead.
Little Girl in the Moon. She's a moonling. She lives on the moon in Tycho Town. So obviously, the teacher in me came out because there's the phases of the moon and a lot of learning. But the whole point of that story is moonlings look different. But by the time you finish the story, you're like, oh, she might be different, but she's just like me. And that's what I wanted. So
Mhm.
don't look at people on the outside, look at their heart, look what they like, find what you have in common. You know, people can speak different languages, but as adults, for example, I'd be around different people, and some of our there was a lot of women's clubs that I belonged to in Dubai, and you know, your body languages and your smile and everything, and just, you know, learning how to say hi in French, and which is actually hi, but you know, but
Well, there you go.
you know, in Arabic, salam alaikum, you know, then there's like this boundary's been removed because you were, just like you said, you were kind enough to know at least one phrase in
Mhm.
Arabic that shows respect, and people will then work real hard to want to get to know you.
Hmm. So that's just great advice. Is a lot of the travel restrictions are being reduced because we're moving away from the depth of the pandemic,
My
and I
goodness.
encourage people to get out. And if you're going to be traveling into another country where they speak a different language, study a little bit of
Mhm.
that language, learn about the culture, and maybe they just speak with a different accent. Maybe like they're from Texas, the
Yeah.
Republic of Texas.
Like how, and oh, I better rephrase something. So, of course, in French, it's bonjour. It's just most of my friends that are French just say hi. So I accidentally messed up.
It's easy. It's easy.
I just
Well,
don't want the French going, what is she talking about?
so the little girl in the moon, and that um, there's a sec. Is there a second book with that
Yeah,
one?
so it's actually a series.
A
There's
series, yeah.
the Little Girl on the Moon, the Big Idea, and that's all about peace and harmony in the world. And I'm super love. I love all of my books actually. You know, they're all inspired, um, and so hopefully I'm helping bring peace in people's hearts and joy. And
Mm.
then there's Moxie and Tycho Town. So the readers get to discover the little girl and the little boy in the moon's favorite doggies. Moxie takes you around Tycho Town, and you learn some of the first words of the Moonling language because I'm making up my own language.
Hmm.
And then it's morphed into the Moonling Adventures. And the first book out is the Moonling Adventures Serengeti, which you can see right back Wait, that away, right up there.
There it is.
And my youngest daughter is the artist, and it's a pretty cool book. And we're about to come out with another one, probably have it ready
Oh,
by this
nice.
summer. So, for all the listeners, in case you're wishing you could write or get your stories out, A, you can email me and see what we can do. And B, to know that it just doesn't happen overnight. It took
Mhm.
years. But it was just like people said to me, once you get published and then all of a sudden, you're getting lots of books out and you wake up one day and like you said, 9 books. Whoa! It's very exciting to me. Now I know too, really established authors, have like 40 or 50 books. But for me, like, yay, wow.
But there are a lot of people who want to be authors and have 0 books, and
Yes,
so
true.
you got to break the ice. One of the things that a lot of authors that I've spoken to recommend getting involved with a group, someone. If you're writing fiction or nonfiction, it really doesn't matter in many cases as long as you get together with other people who are taking these little steps, right? That are also flapping their wings.
That is so true. And it's such a great advice that you're suggesting, because that's exactly what I did. This writing and being an author is a craft. And I want to take it seriously. Just like
Mhm.
if you're on stage, you just don't just walk out and say your lines. There's a craft to acting, and there's a craft to going into that person's soul and being true to who you are on stage. And so I belong to several groups, but I will say that through the eyes of authors, that Abundantly Social, Amy runs,
Mhm.
is incredible. And I've learned so much from them. And there's another group that I belong to that is pretty amazing too. And so you can just email me and I can
Mhm.
tell you all these author groups if you wish, because you will grow. And there's nothing better than having seasoned authors hold your hand and share, oh, I've had that experience. It's going to be okay. Or, read some of your things and say, you got a little off task here. Or, they're just so nice.
Mhm.
What I love about this profession or craft, whichever way you'd like to describe it, is that people don't get jealous of each other. Everyone's friends and they want to help and they want you to succeed. Where,
Mhm.
and sometimes in the corporate life, it isn't exactly that way.
Yeah. And A Time to Fly was published by Texas Sisters Press.
Texas Sisters Press and Little Girl on the Moon and the Moonling Avengers and my young adult historical fiction book Rise: A Girl's Struggle for More, that was OC Publishing out of Canada. And
Mhm.
so I feel very blessed that I have 2 publishers. I mean, I went from rejection, no, 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 to like yes, yes, yes. And I'm like,
Mhm.
wow. So I'm soaring like the little bird in the moon, because I could
Mhm.
have gone, okay, well, maybe this isn't meant to be. But I was like,
Mhm.
no. And it's interesting that you use the word persistent, because that's how my grandma used to describe me. My mother would say, oh gosh, she's so stubborn. And then my grandma would say, no, she's just persistent.
Persistent. Yeah. Persistent is the right word. And people need to be persistent and they need to partner up with other folks so they can get encouragement, they can get ideas. Because as you said, it's a craft, it's a skill. And some people are more naturally gifted.
Mm,
Some people are faster runners. Doesn't mean that you can't run and
true,
you can't be better by
true.
practicing and training and getting a coach. And how would people get a hold of you? You mentioned to email you. Uh,
Sure.
what is the email that would work for them?
So if you just go to me at dianefloydbame.com, which is my website, and you can also sign up for my newsletter so you can keep up with things. And it's just really easy to go to my website and just click on my how to contact. But
Oh, that's
it's
perfect.
www.diann. Oh, you have it up there, Floyd, FLOYD, BOEHM.com, for those who are your listeners. for podcasts and
Perfect.
so forth. That's important to
Yeah.
be able to spell it. But I also go to schools. I also do speaking engagements for
Mhm.
young and old because you just tell me a topic and I will come up with something to
Well,
inspire.
you've had great experiences. You have good training, and you've got books to share. So schools can buy the books for the kids for their libraries, and I'll just say for those of you who are uh, friends of the library or the school, uh, budgets are always tight. So you can buy some books and have them go to the libraries. So it's a great way to give back to your community. And so let me just put the cover of this one back up so people can see. It's a time to fly, and you can click on it right in the carousel. In fact, buy multiple copies. That way you can send them to different schools. It's just such a great gift. And we have another comment. Christine says, we can really enjoy and support each other as we write the book that's in us. I
Oh,
love
that's
that.
beautiful. I love that. Thank you, Christine.
So we
So,
can just, we can release that, right?
yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And so the groups that you're a part of, what would you recommend for maybe a first time writer, somebody who's ready to start flapping their wings? How would they
Just
get a hold of a group?
Yeah, just email me and I'll put you right in touch. That's the simplest thing, and I won't let you down. But I will
Well,
say,
perfect.
even if you don't have your book published, you join the group, and
Mhm.
um, the group Through the Eyes of Authors has just been amazing for me.
Wonderful. And can you share your email one more time so people can get
Sure.
to tell people, get your pencil, get your paper, get ready to write this down.
Yeah, it screenshot my name there. me at dianefloydbame.com. It looks like Boheme, but it's bame.com.
Bam. Yeah,
dianefloydbame.com.
that is perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go back and just kind of recap for folks because here we have the book, A Time to Fly, and it is a great story of encouragement for those of us that are not children. It is still a wonderful story. And the illustrations are just beautiful in here. We've got this great story of a little bird whose time has come to move out of the nest, but he is so comfortable in there. This is where he spent his entire life, but it is time to grow and move out. And he reaches for the rim with his mother's encouragement, and he flaps his wings as he hears the story about when his parents found the perfect spot for a nest, laid the eggs, nurtured the eggs, they grew. His brother and sister flew away. They're up in the tree with dad, and he's asking, where is everybody? And that's where the story starts.
That was beautiful. You're a good storyteller.
Oh, it's easy when I get to tell a good story.
Thank you
And
so
thank you.
much. Thank
Well,
you.
yeah, this is fabulous. I really, again, thank you for being able to come and spend time here on Amazon and share the story and share the books. And so, again, let's talk a little bit about the books that are coming up because I want to remind people that they can follow you on your author page. That way, when new books come out, they'll get notified.
That's
So
absolutely true. Thank you.
tell us about the new books that are coming up as we get close to winding down.
Sure, I'll be happy to. And on a side note, before I do that, I
Yeah.
just want to say a song of praise, song of peace. That's a. It just won Story Monster approval for families, so I'm very proud of that. So, yay! Thanks.
Congratulations.
And I'll be having a book coming out by OC Publishing in October, the 1st of October, and it is called Charlie and the Tire Swing. And when you were speaking earlier about everything that you could dream to be,
Mhm.
it reminded me of Charlie and the Tire Swing because Charlie has the most wonderful adventures on the tire swing. So I'll be excited to come back and share that with you. And
Oh, that's
then,
great.
isn't that great? I'm so excited. The illustrations are beautiful. And then I have a short story coming out that was just accepted by the Texas Sister Press. They don't accept everybody's short stories for their Christmas anthology book.
Oh,
And I'm super charged about that because it's all about Christmas 1964, I believe, and I'm almost describing completely a Christmas time with my family and my brothers as we pick out our Christmas tree and what Christmas was all about, and
Mhm.
it is magical. It takes you back to that simpler time in America and what Christmas was all about, and the
Mm.
family joy that you had singing Christmas carols and in the car and looking at lights and hot chocolate, and your mommy and daddy are so happy and they're not fighting. So
Well,
the
it is a
station
magical
wagon's full.
time.
It is a magical time.
When I was a little boy at that time, I watched my grandfather putting the lights up on the house.
Mhm.
And of course, I was a child and I saw life through a child's eyes. And I assumed that my grandfather put up all of the lights in the
Mhm.
town.
Oh, I bet he loved that.
So, looking at Christmas through a child's eyes, how wonderful! And this Texas Sisters Press is known for their anthologies.
Yes, they are.
So tell us a little about what that is, because this is pretty exciting, and this one's coming out. So,
So every year they, for the past, I guess, couple of years, they've been doing a Christmas of short stories, and the short stories are not, they're for adults actually. They're not children's stories, but you could read them out loud. And I mean, my story definitely could take and bring it down a level, but
mhm,
there's funny stories, there are comical stories, there are serious ones. There's something for everybody in their Christmas anthologies. And that's what I like about it. Sometimes it's just really nice to just read a real quick short story. You're not in the mood for a great big novel, but you just want a little bit of inspiration. And
mhm,
so, Christmas time's very special for everybody around the world,
mhm.
and I can say that truthfully because I've been in so many countries. So you can be of all different faiths and not just Christianity, and
Mhm,
people are celebrating the happiness and love and peace,
mhm.
and that's really magical, right?
It is a wonderful message that comes out at Christmas time, and gives us a moment to reflect and maybe take some action as
Yeah,
well.
I like that. Take some action.
Take some
Amen.
action.
So
Be inspired and help somebody out.
yeah, so Texas Sister Press is really good about doing that,
Mhm,
and so yeah, they're anthologies. But both of the sisters are writers themselves, and they write some pretty cool books too.
mhm.
And
Yeah,
again, I
I've
just want to say, through the eyes of authors, not to cut you
mhm,
off there, the authors that you're going to meet, their
mhm.
stories are amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm learning from all of them. So there's something for everybody.
I was just going to say I've been to the Texas Sisters Press website, and it is chock full of books that they have written too,
Yes,
and as
yes.
well as those that they've helped. So it is a great resource. Um, Diane, I'm going to put Christine very kindly put
Aw,
your email here, so I'll put that up on the screen.
thank
Emmy
you.
at dianefloydbame.com. Send her a message if you are interested in bringing her in as a speaker. If you're interested in maybe some bulk purchases of the book to be able to give to schools or children, maybe there's an organization in your community where children need some encouragement, and this would be a great book for them.
Thank you
And
so
of course,
much.
you can click on it in the carousel, add it to your cart, and have it sent to yourself or sent to someone that you know. Diane, thank you so much for coming on Amazon Live with me today. It's just always a joy to spend time with you and hear about the work. And especially, you said you've got this joint book with your daughter.
Yes, I love that. Isn't that neat? I mean, here's this precious little baby that you bring
Mhm.
home, and then one day they grow up and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a talent. And they're like, Mommy, I can draw that. And I'm like, oh, you want to do something with me? You're so excited, right?
There was a time. There was a time
Oh, yes, there you go.
when she was just there and you said, flap your wings. And now you guys are writing a book together. How beautiful.
Yeah, I feel very lucky.
Well, what are the last words that you would like everyone to know? And then we'll just sign off here.
Sure. I want to thank everyone for watching, and I hope you discover that you can soar. And if you're even thinking about, can I really do it? I hope A Time to Fly helps inspire you to do it. But mostly, I just want you to embrace imagination and to love life.
Those are great words indeed. A Time to Fly, Diane Floyd Boehm. Her new book out here on Amazon Live. We've been having a great conversation. And with that, I'm going to end this broadcast and say thank you to everybody who joined us and commented. Have a fabulous day. Cheers.